New for 96. With your hosts, Kevin McCauley and Chris Nguyen.
Strike the keys. I sent you that as a reaction GIF the other day, and that was the hardest thing to find.
Which one was it?
It was from Finding Forrester. It was Sean Connery.
You're the Man Now, dog?
Yes, but the other one, the other phrase.
What was the other phrase?
Strike the keys. I even captioned it for you. It took a long time to make that reaction GIF, which was very short-lived.
Yeah, well, aren't you glad it had zero effect on me?
It was amazing.
Yeah. So I was going to complain about this fishing thing.
Yeah?
If you have 20 minutes.
Salt Life?
No, the other kind. I got an email alleging to be from Instagram, and because I'm vain and it says like, oh, we're verifying your account. And so I clicked it, and obviously I could tell that it was not legit, like not anything I was going to enter a form into, you know? But the blame for me lies with Apple, because in the pursuit of a clean interface, like anyone's name looks official on the phone. Email, you don't see the email address. You don't see that it's instagramverify@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Because it's hidden unless you click an extra or tap an extra step.
Yeah. What was the name?
Computer.
Was it like Roger Instagram?
No, it was like Instagram verification team or something like that. It was all like very official looking until I saw like the website or something.
So are your followers being bombarded by like pyramid schemes? Is it an Herbalife feed now officially?
Yeah, well, I don't think anything happened because I didn't pursue it. But one day, there was a time last year where I got an Apple one, and I actually did like enter something because it looked so real.
Yeah.
This doesn't honestly happen to me all the time, but for the number of like phishing attempt emails I get, I guess 2% is still embarrassingly high. But I had to change all my iCloud passwords last year because I instantly realized it. But again, it looked very official. Like usually it looks pretty janky, but
but you fell for it.
I did.
This is why you get more of them now. They know you're on a list. Like this guy.
Yeah.
He's pretty gullible.
I'm a sucker.
Yeah. You are on a bulletin board with a pin on it, circled several times. Like, this is our ideal target. So
why are we using a different app?
We're on GoToMeeting. So we were just FaceTiming before. But GoToMeeting, this took about 5 minutes of research, but GoToMeeting has, in theory, the best audio quality. And we'll see about that. So this is the first time. So Kevin and I, of course, are recording separately again. And GoToMeeting has HD audio quality in theory. So Kevin has a recorder on his end as backup, and we are recording live to our recorder. So hopefully this will reduce an extra step in the editing process, but we shall see. So this is...
our listeners, they tune in for the good quality audio.
Yeah, well, some behind the scenes stuff here. We're going to make a DVD extra. What would be a podcast version of that? Like behind the scenes, how it's made. It's very boring. Yeah. How it's made. Yeah. Yeah. Even more boring than the content itself.
It's a high bar.
Yeah.
Or a low one.
Yeah. Anyways, welcome to another episode of New for 96.
That was about as synced as our clapper board.
Yeah, the clapper board. No need to explain what that is. I didn't want to peak the monitors again. Every time we get excited on this new recording device, it's very sensitive. So I'm trying to tamp my enthusiasm so that we don't blow it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. How are you?
Pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing okay. I saw you for the first time in the flesh No, I take that back because that sounds like I saw you naked. I saw you in real life the other day for the first time in probably over a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we did a from a distance tailgate sip.
It was a social distancing
Yeah.
hour at your storage unit.
At my storage unit, where we thought that we would be distanced from everybody, like no one was going to be there, and we were parked like at least a garage space apart from each other. So my one requirement for our meetup was that we had hatches to sit out of, the back of, and so I was in the LX sitting off the tailgate, and you in your wagon, your IS Sport Cross.
But I brought a chair anyway.
You brought a chair anyway, so you kind of defeated the whole... It could have been anything.
It could have been anything.
I know. So we went... we sat there for a while, and here's the thing. I'm sure that everyone else is noticing this too, but like for as much as people are supposed to be staying inside, there are so many people outside.
Yeah.
Like there must have... when we were at the storage space, there must have been like at least 6 different visits from just different people passing by, doing things. I assume they're just picking at their reserve of toilet paper. So that is where they're housing them. I have shop towels, which I imagine would be very uncomfortable to use as toilet paper. Durable, but uncomfortable. Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of soft. It's a very thick, hardy fabric.
Yeah, it is. It's very hardy. It will not rip in your hands like regular toilet paper because I wipe aggressively. I want there to be nothing left. I want to see my face in there.
Soft. I think a shop towel, a blue shop towel, would be better as toilet paper than like a normal like perforated paper towel.
I guess so, but it's all about the comfort, though, right? Like the smoothness against your cheek and your. Anyways, we don't have to get into details there, but I know where I am going to go if I run out of toilet paper and there's none left to get from the stores. I'm going to resort to shop towels. That'd be kind of wasteful, though, because each square is like 12 by 12 inches. And I refuse to fold. So I'd probably go through that pretty quickly and also destroy my plumbing system in the process.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I
forgot about that.
That'd be bad.
But instead of using...
One square, flush.
Yep.
Another square, flush.
I guess instead of using like the wet wipes too, I could just use the orange wipes. Have you ever used those before? It's like the soap stuff that you're supposed to use to get grease off of your hands. They also have wipe versions of that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You know, I bought some... So ever since the rally, I have had on my to-do list, like, to get some, like, wipes.
Yeah.
To keep in the car.
Like butt wipes?
Because, no, like, just, you know, what is the term? I'm totally blanking.
Like wet ones.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Like little towelette, like moist towelettes. Like after the rally, I don't think we mentioned this anecdote, but we were on our drive and one of our friends had the sway bar fall off of his car. And so he basically just detached it and put it in the front trunk. And we were on our way. But, you know, after working on the car, his hands are filthy. And he's like, does anyone have, like, he's like, I know this is weird. Does anyone have, like, a, you know, a wet wipe or something? Or, like, something to clean my hands. And we all look at Chris. And he's like, what kind would you like?
I'm prepared.
Because he had multiple varieties of hand cleaning elements in the car. Next
to my tool bag was my cleaning accoutrement bag.
It's a good idea. It's honestly a very good idea because if you're touching anything on the car, you don't want to like get back in and like start driving with your hands like covered in grease.
Yeah, I've got several variety of gloves, several variety of hand wipes, hand sanitizer, which I should check to see if that's in there because now that's gold. I shouldn't leave it in the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every week or something, Laura will be like cleaning something, like going through stuff, and she'll find another little bottle of hand sanitizer, and it's like, ooh.
Yeah, you know what's frustrating is that I don't know if this is on purpose, but Have you ever noticed that, like, the bottom, I don't know, like quarter inch of the bottle is still filled with liquid, but the straw can't get to it for some reason? Or like the bottom of like every pure oil bottle is concave. So like it...
Oh, so the corners?
Yeah, so it all
Like
drips
the
to the
edges.
corners. So you're wasting like... you're wasting at least like 10 hand wipes, I'm guessing.
Oh, that's terrible.
I know, it is terrible. Especially today, in today's tough climate.
So what is your quarantine driving habit? I was talking to my mom, and she's like, "Can you believe how cheap gas is?" I was like, "Well, premium has not really dropped. Like, I'm not saying woe is me, but like premium is still like basically like maybe 50 cents cheaper or something."
Yeah, I had to check today. I actually filled up. I filled up all 3 cars over the last 2 days because they were either at half tank or almost empty, and they'd been sitting for a while. And you made a good point that you hadn't filled up your SC since the rally, which was like 2 months ago now at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
End of February. And by the way, Hill Country Rally, like Sean and the organizers look like geniuses for scheduling it they moved it up a month.
Yeah.
To the end of February. It would have been canceled.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just pure coincidence, but it's just funny. Like, it's like, oh, we wouldn't have had that event if it had been at the regular time.
That worked out incredibly well.
Sorry, continue.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, so I also like ended up with like a half tank at the end of the rally, and shortly thereafter, of course, we all started staying home, and so I had only driven it like once or twice just to make sure the battery didn't die, because my storage space doesn't have like a place to plug in a tender. So you made a good point that if it's sitting for that long, the tank could get condensation in it. So
yeah, especially in our wet, humid climate.
Yeah. So I went out and I filled up the Celsior, which was on empty, and that had actually. So speaking of driving habits, I'd parked that for like almost 2 months, and it was a brand new battery, but I was certain that it was going to be very weak, but turned out to be, it had just enough power so when you plug in the key, it has like a auto tilt steering wheel. I plugged in the key and I watched as the steering wheel drained the remaining bits of battery and it just stopped midway. So it was the first time I'd ever used, I had bought this, one of those portable jump start packs. First time I've ever used one of those, and it's so convenient.
That's good.
Yeah.
I have mine. I have one in the 911, but I haven't charged it since like 2018. So if I needed it, it would probably be dead.
You know what? I charged mine when I got it like 6 months ago, and it was still mostly full. I think it was like down to 80% or something like that. But yeah, it worked remarkably well. Like I wasn't even sure if I was doing it right, but just clamp it to the battery and start the car.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's
Anyways,
good.
but so I filled up the Celsior, drove that around for a bit, and then I did that to the 911 again, and the 911's kind of sprung a bigger leak than I have ever seen before. So not just like, every 911, every air cooled drips a little bit of oil at all 911s, but this created a small puddle. So I'm slightly concerned, but I think it might be the oil sender seals or something not major, because it just kind of out of nowhere started happening. Hopefully it's not like a head stud or something. That would be absolutely the worst. But
did you have a valve adjustment recently?
I did. So right before
they would know. They would tell you if it was the head stud.
Okay, that's true.
They would see it then.
Yeah.
I've had that concern also, like where it's like, what if the head studs are bad, and I just don't know,
Yeah.
They would know when they did the valve adjustment.
Yeah. In theory, on the 3.2s, I mean, this is all just like anecdotal forum talk, but in theory, 3.2s are a little bit less susceptible to headsets breaking, but probably not Anyways, so yeah, basically the only time I've driven is to go to the grocery store in the Land Cruiser, or to just make sure the battery doesn't die in one of the other cars. So I went on one sort of pleasure drive. It was just really to warm up. I didn't want to start the 911 and then turn it back off again and leave it. So I actually drove it to warm it up and down Allen Parkway, which is like this fast bit of road in the inner city right by us. So, but that's about it. Once in the last 2 months, basically. So,
yeah.
What about you?
I mean, about the same. Like I've been, grocery store or like buying coffee beans or something.
Yeah.
And
it feels like
yesterday I took the sport cross out and was looking for photo locations, but I didn't really get out or anything.
It feels like indulgent, like leaving or driving for no reason. I mean, in theory, it's probably of the safer things you can do outside, because you're in your own personal little biosphere. I guess the downside is with pleasure drives, if we wanted to like get nuanced about it, is that if you get into an accident, I guess you're taking away resources, but
or if you even break down, you have to have more contact with people and a lot of more stuff to deal with, which is more of a concern with the 911 versus anything else.
I was afraid of that. So I didn't want to take the 911 very far, just in case it did like break down. At the very least, I want to be able to like wheel it to a safe location or push it to a safe location. But speaking of what happens if you break down during one of these, so Levi, a good friend of mine, he and his girlfriend were driving back from the grocery store, and she accidentally ran a curb while driving over the Wall Bridge and obliterated the axle, all the bits that hold the tire on, basically. And so the car was not movable, and they didn't know what they were going to do. Like,
was it his car or her car?
She has a Jeep as well, so it was her car. It's a Liberty. So when they got out to, check the damage, these guys on bikes stopped, and one of them happened to be a tow truck driver. And he was like, do you need any help? I'm not doing anything. Like, I'm basically not even working. I can just run back and get my tow truck. Because if you call for someone, it's going to be like 3 hours.
Whoa.
So he went and got his tow truck and towed their car to a repair shop for free, which was really nice.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So, and then also the car turned out, like, it's totaled.
What?
It had done enough damage to exceed the reasonable value to fix.
Oh no, that's terrible.
Yeah, but now it's car shopping time, so I've been bombarding them with texts for car suggestions, all of which, of course, are terrible. But
that's the rule.
Yeah. Have you taken the Mini out at all?
Yeah, we took it out because it hadn't moved in like a month. Like I washed it at the beginning of quarantine and put it in the garage and was just like not moving it. And so we took it out one day this week. I need to take it out and fill it up. Actually, I was going to do that this week and I forgot.
Yeah.
But it's just it's such a good feeling to have a car like tucked away clean. I know it's like sucks, like, oh, everything should be driven, who cares if it's dirty, but it's like it's also nice to not have to worry about something. That is
what I've been indulging in the last couple of years, is whenever the car is clean and under a cover, I don't want to move it, especially the Celsior because it's black. And I had it out yesterday, and I parked it outside, and this morning I was going to take it back to storage anyways, but it started to like get really gray outside just very quickly, and so I ran down to the car and I drove it back to storage because I did not want to have to clean it, because it was still pretty freshly clean, just a little bit dusty from being outside for about 1 second. And I pulled into the garage right as it started pouring down. So it remains clean.
Oh, nice.
Because that would be so, like, I'm not even driving it, so it would just be so unsatisfying, dissatisfying.
Oh, so I didn't ask you.
Yeah.
When you take a car out of storage, you put the LX in the unit?
I do, yeah.
Does it fit okay?
It just barely fits. Like,
Do you
sparks are
back it in,
flying
or
off
do
the
you
sides.
just drive it in?
What's that?
Do you back it in or just drive it straight in?
Oh, no, I was back into the storage spaces because it seems weird pulling. Actually, I've never. It's probably been. I don't even know if I've ever pulled face forward into a garage. This came from my dad because he worked for this French oil company where all employees were required to back into spaces to reduce the chance of accident when pulling out. Literally, like, one of their policies. And so since he had to do that for some reason, he made us do that too. So we were all, like, taught.
Did he do that at your home garage?
Yeah, we had to back in.
Really?
We always had to back in, yeah. So
That's so weird.
I'm very used to, like, backing into garage spaces. Like, I don't even know, maybe if I was working on a car in a specific way, like, I pulled in forward, but otherwise, yeah, I pull in backwards. It is easier to get out of, that's for sure.
Yeah, but it's, like, way more of a pain in the ass to get in.
No, it's easy. Once you get used to it, it's like one shot. Like, you can aim a car pretty easily going backwards. But yeah, but the LX is a big boy, and like it is just like, if you look at the aperture of the garage door, it is just comically framing the entire car so closely. So it is inconvenient. Like, I will say that in parking spaces where they're obviously trying to be a little bit more efficient with their line spacing, it is awkward because the car or the truck is, I mean, it's as wide as a pickup truck of any sort. So that does dash any, I think any idea that I might have had at getting like a Raptor or something down the road as a daily driver, because those are even wider, I would assume. And
absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, they have to, I always say this, and most people know this, and I've probably said it on here before, but those 3 little lights in the grill, like the little amber lights like above the grill, that's because it's a certain width. Like, that's the same thing that like 18-wheelers have.
Oh.
Like 18-wheelers have those lights across like the windshield and stuff, and it's because it's a certain width class, and it has to have that.
It's like buildings have to have blinking lights at the top. It's so that...
Exactly.
Yeah. That's crazy. I never thought about that.
Which makes the Raptor even cooler.
It does. It makes it just so excessive. But cool at the same time. But yeah.
I remember seeing, like, because a couple years ago, I was at CODA, and I toured back when it was, I guess, America Le Mans, I guess. Back when the Vipers were racing and endurance racing, I got a tour of the Viper operation, and they said that if the race car Viper, like if it was a road car, it was wide enough that it would have to have those lights.
Oh, wow.
Because they made it that much, like they made it just wider enough than the street car for racing.
Here's the thing. I do actually wonder what it's for, because it's not like it's at the outer edges of...
Right. I think it's just, first of all, it's probably one of these rules that was like implemented in 1965 and like no one's ever really questioned it or it's changed.
Yeah.
But also maybe it's if you have it in your rear view, it's like, oh, that's something big and close as opposed to like something really far away.
Yeah.
Or you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah. No, I mean, I guess it makes sense. It doesn't matter. It's cool because there are auxiliary lights, and when you get a chance to have those on a normal-ish car.
Well, I'm not talking, auxiliary lights are like extra fog lights and stuff. These are just like the little amber indicators.
Fine. Not auxiliary.
Okay.
Right. But that's the thing about like, I like having an SUV that's an actual SUV it makes me want to modify it. I understand that bug that you get to like, ooh, I just add this and add this, and before you know it, it is like a terrible example of how one can waste so much money on useless accessories that you'll never use.
Have you picked out what kind of angry eyes you'll get?
Yeah. eBay has provided many
It's a treasure
options.
trove.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of LED.
Fantastic.
I want to make sure that it looks like a Simon game. So
you said you had some projects that you were like waiting to do.
I've got so the LX does have some things that I could do.
Are all your projects LX based?
As far as DIY stuff goes, 'cause the 911, I don't think I can. That has like the oil leak I need to fix, and the taillight. So I'm gonna take apart the taillight because it is mysteriously partially working. But no, the LX, like I have to fix a door lock actuator, which I think will be pretty easy. But since everything takes like 4 times as long for me to do as people quote on the forums, I don't look forward to that. I want to take off the running boards as well. So
I thought you were gonna like powder coat them black.
What's that? I thought about that. I think I'm gonna. The easier thing to do right now is just take them off and see how it looks.
Yeah.
Versus plastic dipping them or whatever. But basically, like the Land Cruiser just looks. It's like an instant lift kit, basically. When you take off like these, like conversion van style running boards, they're so like the Land Cruiser gets not this generation, but the next generation gets like this really discreet looking, low profile running board that's more like a rock slider. And the LX of the 200 series generation still has like, again, like this like conversion van style running board. And it's just, it just makes the car look so bulky. And I feel like the same thing on this car. Like it makes the car look unnecessarily bulky.
Well, you should bring it over here. I could put down a moving blanket so that, I know that you're concerned about like one end dropping and whatnot.
Yeah.
Put down a blanket or something.
We should do that. We should
I'll
just
mail you a toll tag and you can drive out here for that and or our next
I will just arrange
social distancing social.
I will just arrange for a shipping truck to pick it up and drop it off. Kevin lives
let me know when you get some quotes.
2 freeways away from me. Outside of 2, well, 1 loop, but anyways, we should just exclusively hang out so that we'll be like in our COVID coven, basically, where we'll just infect each other so that no one else has to deal with us.
Let's calm down here.
So that's something. In theory, all it is like it's 4 brackets, 2 bolts each bracket, and it's done. But I feel like it's not going to be that easy. Like the bolts are going to be seized, something like that. I don't know. But
do people say that the headlight project is easy? They're like, oh, that's a piece of cake. Because that was hard.
But it was hard only because of that like one stuck thing. It was
hard like popping out those side lights and stuff. I don't know.
I'm a master at that now though, because I had to pop them out a few times to adjust and change bulbs and whatnot, and now I'm a master at it. In fact,
well, that's good.
You know how like we were sticking like that long screwdriver, metal. Yeah. We were sticking like a metal rod down there to pop it out. Turns out you don't need to do that at all. So that took a lot of time.
You just jimmy it
to figure out. You just pull and it just pops the tab. So,
but there was no leverage. Like you couldn't get leverage on it.
No, you have to get like extra grip gloves to do it. Otherwise, like the sharp corners of the plastic like tear your hands up.
I see.
Yeah, but.
I'm in the middle. I took apart the front blower motor on my 911, so it's off the road until I like order a new blower motor. I mean, honestly, it's nothing preventing me from driving it. I just have to reconnect the battery. But I don't want to drive it with like that part of the front
with like 2 sparking wires like snaking in the trunk.
But I replaced the grill on the Sport Cross. because it was faded and like chipping, and it looked like overspray, but it was actually chipped black. But I did get the Lexus grille.
Yeah.
And it fits nice, and it used because it's not just that it was chipping, but like the old one, the tab on the top was broken, and also it wasn't actually like it was kind of sliding, and I could have actually snapped it in at the bottom, but I didn't realize that until I swapped it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good now. I had to order some new clips; those are on now. But I'm like a little bit frustrated with the state of the car because.
Why?
Because
it's far better than when you got it.
I know, but it's still not like great. Like my suspension is squeaking because of I need to have that fixed.
Is it the same thing?
Yeah, it
started when I got in the car.
Yeah. There's that. I mean, I'm guessing that putting in some new bushings like agitated some of other old bushings that weren't replaced.
Yeah.
But the interior still looks like shit because of the dash. And then my paint is so bad. And this is like my dilemma where it's like I kind of would like, because I didn't like it needs a going over with polish.
Yeah.
Like it is like coarse to the touch because the clear coat is in such sorry shape.
Yeah.
And like I would like someone like the Gloss Boss to go over the whole thing and just like shine it up. But it's also like there are imperfections, like so many on every panel. Like I would want to like paint 2 panels and then have a going over. But right now, I will wash it and then it just gets so dirty because everything sticks to it. Because like I said, the finish is like slightly sandpaper.
Yeah. You know what it is? You know how you revel in pointing out the only things that ever go wrong with Toyotas, which are aesthetic things, i.e. the Scion TC hatch handle, the Corolla rusting roof. These are the same technologies that are afflicting our cars.
Yeah,
because you really have peeling clear coat, and I also have like on plastic trim, it's crackled. And
my mirrors are like literally like matte silver. Like there is no clear coat. I swear. I even looked into like
it's plastic.
Like there are you could get like mirror covers on eBay that are like carbon fiber, which I would not do. But
so
they're out there.
That's the same thing. So I have like this plastic door guard trim that goes all the way around the car, and that is matte silver. Like it's no longer shiny. It's shiny when it rains, or like you can see rain droplets and it looks like how it should look, and then it dries up and it's matte again. But I mean, clearly like Lexus or Toyota did not figure out how to properly mix clear coat. Like their formula was a little off in the early 2000s. And we like, this is completely uninteresting, but we also found out that anything that has like chrome trim, like that's paired with a painted part, the whole part is actually chromed, and then they paint over the chrome. So
yes,
like I have a license plate holder, like it's a whole like tray that holds the license plate, and it has a chrome trim ring around it, except that it's crackling, and you can see underneath the silver is chrome. So it's perfect chrome underneath the silver. And what was it on yours?
It was the grill. The grill, it's the silliest thing because 99% black, but it has a chrome outline.
Yeah.
And the grill, like all the black was chipping. And so I got a different grill. And when you look at it, the back is chrome because it's not painted. And it's just like, why couldn't they have added like a chrome applique to a black plastic
You know that
grill?
Some Japanese engineer was just like so beside himself because he thought he had figured out this amazing manufacturing technique that would just save money and everyone would be so thankful for it. But
well, I mean, it's fewer parts this way,
Yeah.
I guess. And that's the thing, you know, that was the Toyota way that Porsche adopted with the 996.
Yeah.
fewer things. Like they looked at, the specific example, they looked at the headlights and turn signals, all this stuff, and they said, you are like, this is taking too much time per person for an installer.
Yeah.
And that's why the 996, it's like all in one housing, integrated.
That's true.
The Toyota way.
But they wouldn't stand for that, so they went back after the 997.
Yeah. Well, I think they got their ducks in a row with manufacturing, and then they're like, oh, we can...
But these are the only things you can really complain about on like a Toyota product, though. Like as opposed to like...
Well, my thing is that like the suspension is still bugging me because I've ruined it, and the interior is still bad because I need to do like the dash swap.
Yeah.
And my exterior is bad. So it's like part of me is like, I want to just wash it and put the car cover on and not have it bake in the sun and turn to shit. And then it's like, why does it matter? It's like the paint is so bad.
The whole point, you're turning to me, because the whole point of this car was that you could just use it, can get dinged up, and it's fine. Like...
No, as soon as I drove it, I was like, I need to slowly make it perfect.
Yes, well, welcome to my world. Like,
also,
it's quite the vexing problem.
You mentioned the door protectors. This is like one of those 90s things. Like this car has door protectors, and it's integrated into the styling in such a way that it looks good.
Yeah.
With them.
No, it's true. I mean, like, it looks like a part of it.
This car, for all of its faults, it has no door dings.
Yeah.
Because it has the rubber protectors.
I have door dings, I think, because
my Probe GT was the same way, where it was like it had that, and it was integrated with the styling, where it was like instead of overwrought character lines like BMWs, things have like designed like door protectors.
Yeah,
and it's not an eyesore if it's done right. No,
if it looks integrated, but like the LX, mine's a 2006, but the car was essentially designed in the mid 90s, so that like extra cladding is very period appropriate, and it looks fine. It kind of goes in with that era of Lexus and Toyota, so it makes sense. And in other markets, you can, if you get a base Land Cruiser, all of that's shaved off, so it's just a clean side. I will say it looks a lot better without all this trim on the side, obviously, but and of course, if I try to remove it, there would be like a million holes in the side of the car. But here's the thing is that like, I don't think mine really does much for door ding protection because it's so high up that it doesn't line up with...
Yeah, but everything that's hitting your door is another truck or SUV because we live in Houston.
I mean, yeah, basically. So, but it's fine. The great part about silver is despite like the plastic door trim no longer having any clear coat on it, can't tell. Like silver, even though it is boring, it is a miracle color in that you just cannot see flaws. And I'm sure like there are plenty of flaws that I don't even see on this truck, but it's all being masked by this. I don't know what to call this color. It just hides everything. It's just.
Well, also, like 40% of the truck is above eye level for you, so you can't see it.
You know what? It's 6 feet tall. It's above eye level for many people. So my eyes basically go to the hood line.
Yeah. So what kind of topics we have?
Oh my God. Are we still doing this?
I have a quiz for you.
Yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
So whenever you're ready.
Okay. Should we do the quiz now?
I mean, we can.
Okay. We already talked about the quiz.
All right.
Let's do the quiz.
Okay, we're
doing the quiz.
So, I prepared a very tricky car quiz for you.
Yes.
I know that usually you focus on Toyota, Lexus, but this one is about another Japanese manufacturer. This is my quiz. It's called Ghosn in 60 Cedrics, spelled out Ghosn.
Oh no! This is like the worst version of like wait, don't tell me.
No,
and I don't know anything about Nissans, so.
Well, don't worry. You might learn something from the correct answers. What is the longest sedan in the Nissan lineup?
Current lineup?
Yes.
Current. So you said longest sedan.
Yes.
The Altima.
That's correct.
I knew it because it couldn't be the Maxima. Because
Why could it not be the Maxima?
I don't know.
It's the Maximum.
Because then that wouldn't be an interesting answer.
Yeah, it's true. You're very smart. That's very good. Very good. Besides the Frontier, what is the oldest vehicle in the Nissan lineup?
Well, the Frontier, the current Frontier came out in 1996, which is probably not accurate, but probably more accurate than not.
I mean, it was closer to 1996 than it is to now.
That is true. That is true. What else is in their lineup? I'm going to say the 370Z.
You're 2 for 2.
Whoa. Because that's a car that has
You're
not
ace in
changed
this.
in quite a while.
You're ace in this.
Oh, my goodness.
All right. What is the smallest Infiniti crossover in 2020? And I will only accept exact answers.
Because you and I have talked about this, that their naming scheme makes no sense, and I cannot for the life of me remember any Infiniti models, except that it's the QX30.
I'm sorry, you're incorrect.
What?
Because they no longer sell the QX30.
Oh, what a
Nissan only
trick.
sells five. Infiniti, sells 5 vehicles in the year 2020 now.
I don't believe that either, but the only reason why I knew it was QX30 is because we have a friend who drives a QX30, and that's the only reason why I knew that, because I couldn't tell you. I mean, I know the other ones are probably a variant of that number, but I don't know which one's which.
Okay, well, all of the remaining questions concern Infiniti model names.
Oh, God.
Infiniti no longer makes a sedan in the size category of the iconic Q45.
Mm-hmm.
But before it was discontinued for 2020, what was the largest Infiniti sedan called? Exact answers only, please.
Oh, God. The Q...
I'm sorry, that's incorrect. It's
What?
the Q70.
There was a 70?
There was a 70. It used to be called the
Where's the 60?
M35.
Yeah, okay. So that was that made sense. Okay. Isn't there a 60?
I cannot confirm or deny.
Yes, there is. It's the coupe,
Okay.
which looked decent, actually. The last remaining decent looking Infiniti, which is no longer.
No, it
sure.
is one of the
Maybe it
5
is.
models that Infiniti sells.
Oh,
What
my
is the
God.
largest Infiniti SUV called?
I know this
Do you?
one, the QX80.
Wow. That's correct.
I only know that because our friend Jordan talks about it a lot because he used to work for Infiniti.
Why would he talk about that? What is discussable
He was in charge
about the QX80?
because even he had to acknowledge how ridiculous it was that people were buying that thing because it was based off of a Pathfinder Armada, which in and of itself is
It's just called the Armada.
a really bad value proposition.
It's just called the Armada.
It's not the Pathfinder Armada? Wasn't that the last? Okay, so the last generation it was called the Pathfinder Armada,
I'm not sure
right?
if that's correct.
I think that's correct.
This is beyond the scope of the quiz, but I don't think that's right.
Nevertheless, even he was surprised that people were lured in somehow to spend as much as a Range Rover on this thing. And
But I mean,
like,
it's a lot like the LX, where it is like, isn't that the Nissan Patrol in other markets now?
it's the Nissan Patrol, I believe. Yes, but it is and it isn't, I guess, because I don't think it shares that same legendary status, and it is. I don't know. I mean, like, would you buy one?
No. A brief aside, I took a road, like I had a press car Armada in 2017, and it was, and that's the
recall.
current generation. It's had an interior upgrade since then, but it was extremely disappointing. I found the seats to be very uncomfortable, and also because of the styling where it has to have like hips and whatnot, like it is a shockingly small amount of interior volume for how large it is.
Yeah. See, and that's exactly it. Why, like, even if it were like if you were attracted to the QX80 because it had like these underpinnings, my problem with the QX80 isn't even like the fact that whether it's a good or a bad car. It's that Infiniti I don't think is a status brand anymore, and if you're paying a premium for, if not for capability, then you're paying for the badge, and if you're paying for a premium for a badge, it should stand for something. And at this point, what does Infiniti stand for other than that you're spending more to buy a Nissan that may or may not be nicer?
Chris, that ties in with my next question. You talked about the QX80. They have an SUV directly below that. What's it called?
I'm going to go in increments here. The QX60.
That's correct.
I wanted 60 to work one of these times. Yeah.
Well, there's another one below that they currently sell. What's it called?
50.
That's right. Wow, you did pretty well on
I'm
this.
just going in increments here. I don't
guess
know.
It was structured in a way that you were destined to succeed.
I was just going in increments. I know.
Well, if I had said there are 3 SUVs, what is the smallest one called? I think you would have struggled more, but because you had that stepping down.
That trick question about GLA-based QX30. Because
I was shocked to look at InfinityUSA.com and see that there are 5 vehicles on sale.
The ads that you're going to get now for having entered that into your browser.
Also, I was on Wikipedia looking because I was like, there has to be.
They're going to...
Anyway,
you know what?
That was...
Like, the internet assumes that you're like a nightclub owner now or something. Like...
Yeah. I'm going to get ads for how I can... wrap my Q60 in matte black. Well, that was our Nissan quiz. Ghosn in 60 Cedrics, spelled out Ghosn.
Oh my god. Okay, can we at least just plug in one anecdote here about the one time, and let's, we'll acknowledge that sometimes Porsche meets are a little bit silly, but we were at a Porsche meet, a monthly PCA event, and in the distance, if you recall, there was an Infiniti meet.
I recall.
And it was all Q60s.
It was all like Q50s.
50s?
Q50s. 50s and 60s.
Yeah. So it was the coupe and the sedan, and they were all horribly more modified. They were all like brand new. Like, they looked like they had just bought them in the last month, but they were all modified. It was
staggering because it's like, who would buy and modify like the latest Infiniti?
Man.
I could understand the modifying crew gravitating towards like a G35 or a G37.
G35's good. I'm going to argue last good
Q60 is
Infiniti.
good, but why would you? The Q60 is good, but what buyer is buying a Q60 to modify?
Yeah, I don't know. Apparently they were. We could have interviewed and gotten a glimpse into the mind of an Infiniti buyer, although. That is a scary proposition.
I do feel like it's almost hack to complain about the names of Infinitis, but like they are so bad, and the product lineup is so sad.
Here's the thing: is that there's nothing wrong with their naming scheme.
Like if they were making,
it's just that
if they made something interesting,
no one cares what they
like
are.
How the LC500 exists for Lexus, like you would learn the name, but like they don't do anything interesting.
No.
It's like Nissan hasn't put money into their product.
None of these things serve a purpose other than people buy them when there is like a massive discount on all of them for some reason.
Yeah.
So it is like at this point, I'm just so curious what like their product plan is, considering just Nissan in general. I mean, not just Infiniti, but like it doesn't make sense anymore. None of it. But not here nor there. I mean, that's old hat news in the car world, I suppose. Not to everyone, I guess. There are some enthusiasts of Nissan products, but they are far and few between.
Yeah. It seems like they kind of have Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where the money goes. But
Now,
anyway, like I said,
You
that
were
was,
a Nissan enthusiast
I just
at one
wanted to,
point.
I wanted to wrap up this segment and say that was
Fine.
Ghosn in 60 Cedrics. The Nissan quiz spelled Ghosn.
If you have to explain, if you literally have to spell it out, the joke is no more.
I think it's great. I think it works.
Dear God.
On this audio
But speaking
medium.
of speaking of old nameplates, Japanese nameplates, today, Lexus announced that the GS is going out of production. Like they are taking it off the roster, which is a for better or worse thing because one, no one buys sedans anymore, but that's neither here nor there. The GS this generation was not bad. I don't know much about it actually. I don't know a lot about modern Lexi, except that the GSF was a good car. And a great value proposition. I actually, so when they posted that today on news sites, I immediately went to used car sites to see how much you can get a GSF for. And what is a GSF MSRP, like a brand new one? What do you think that is?
70?
Let me see. GSF Lexus.
I guess it's probably more, 79.
It is, in fact, $85,000. That is much more expensive than I thought. But then again, the new M5 is like $100,000. So
yeah. No, I mean the way that it has that fender vent and stuff is crazy. So my brief anecdote.
And it sounds really good.
My anecdote. I think I've driven a GSF briefly, but I know I definitely had like a RC or no, I definitely had a GS 350 with like a sport package as a press car, and it had the bamboo interior, which is really really cool.
Yeah.
You
did have an RCF
I've had an RCF multiple times, but like I have heard universally that the GSF is like somehow lighter and better than the RCF, even though it's a sedan. Like,
I could see that because everyone complains that the RC was like
based on the GSF.
So heavy.
It's based on the GSF.
Yeah.
Like it's you would think it's based on the IS, but it's like built on the GSF, but like has like more strengthening or something. But the GS is a great balance. I think it looks good. And friend of a friend who's like a tech, or he teaches Lexus technicians. Like he's a like senior Lexus technician. And I think the GS 350 like F Sport is like his favorite of the current ones, even more than the V8 models, because, or at least this was as of a couple years ago before the LC was out, because like the balance and the handling and the weight was just like perfect. And the F Sport gives you that without the V8, like you get the handling goodies and stuff.
That's the buzz, is that Lexus just announced like another iteration of the F Sport GS 350, and then immediately announced that they're also killing the model. But I mean, you know, you and I are more Eurocentric, but again, like we come back to the fact that like Toyota products are like it's like the practical enthusiast choice when you don't want to deal.
Well, and it's the last one where they have naturally aspirated engines with the displacement that it says on the badge.
Here's the thing.
That's a big deal.
Closer to like this, it's the thing that we all talk about we want. I mean, other than the fact that you can't get it with manual, but it is what we've all asked for, and no one bought it, and now it's going away. And
do you think, this is just my little theory, like because I always assign like what BMW is thinking as if it's a collective thought. In my mind, everyone wants this is a long tangent, everyone wants what Audi has with the naming, where you've got the S4 tier and then the RS4, because no one has been able to do that like entry performance level well, like except the S4 or the S5 or whatever, where it's like that actually means something, and you have like, you know, M Sport. Like Audi didn't dilute that. So anyway, I always assign what I assume they're thinking. But do you think this is where I'm going? Also shitting on the Germans. Do you think that Mercedes and Audi or BMW are looking at Lexus and they're like, oh my god, I wish we could fucking kill the 5 Series and the E-Class. We can't do this, but oh my god, we want to. Like, I wish we could kill these cars
I'm
and
sure
only make SUVs. But
the
like,
non-business people at the companies, yes, all the way. Like the product planners, the people who are passionate about like the history of the company. I am sure all day long.
Yeah,
they're like, oh my god, we got to produce what niche model now? Like,
right, exactly.
No doubt.
Like Lexus, even though it's an established brand, there's kind of the flexibility where it's like, well, it's a nameplate. It's not like a 50-year icon. It's a 25-year icon.
Yeah, and like the original GS was cool. It was the Gigaro designed Toyota Aristo. So I was reading today too, along with these articles announcing it's going away.
Oh, and wait, I'm gonna interrupt you. While we're on the subject of Toyota defects, the second gen, or at least the LCI GS model baby tails, the little taillights on the trunk.
Yeah, the quad light.
The trunk brake lights that turn white.
They turn because they fade.
They turn peach. My friend turned me onto this like 4 years ago when I was complaining about TC hatch handles. He said, well, you notice this with the Lexus GSs, and when he pointed out to me, it was like they were all peach colored. And then when I started really noticing it, they're all white. Like they completely faded at a different amount than the main taillights.
Yeah, they do. Are they like operable lights? I forget what it is, but like there's something about those trunk lights. Anyways, but that was the last kind of good GS. Also,
no, but the current one is good.
The current one's good, but I should say iconic. I should say iconic.
I would agree.
For the
one
model,
the one in between the current one and the 98 GS, I think was dog shit.
And so did Toyota. So here's the thing that I was going to get on about was that apparently Akio Toyota did not want the GS to exist anymore after the that bloated, terrible model that came out. He was like, "There's no point. No one's gonna buy these things." And also, the last one we made, he self-admitted was like that was a bad one. And apparently, the dealer network spoke up, and they were just absolutely adamant that they had to have that 5 Series competitor in order to be in the market. So they strong-armed Akio into greenlighting the current gen.
The current GS. Wow. And now the world has completely changed because that was probably 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I think the current GS was 2012, 2013.
I think it was 2013, yeah. It was not meant to be, but here it is.
Wow.
And they did not prove him wrong. No one wanted them. They sold very little, according to these articles, in the last few years, which makes sense.
Yeah. Back on the BMW thing, and this actually ties into another topic, but I have posted. It's funny that I have posted twice on Twitter. That the E38 Generation 7 Series was the last 7 Series, and I have a very anti-BMW stance, you could say, on all things BMW, and I generally don't like any current products. Yeah. Daniel asked me on our drive, what would be a current BMW I'd want, and I don't find myself even wanting an M2 out of principle, and there's nothing else that appeals to me. But for all that is just to say that saying that no 7 Series after the E38 should have existed is a shockingly non-controversial take.
No.
Everyone agrees. There shouldn't have been a 7 Series. No 7 Series after 2002 has done anything.
No.
And I am a Bangle apologist, but I wouldn't want an E65 7 Series. I appreciate its merits, but in the scope of things, like
Oddly enough,
it is
that is
a slight step forward.
It is an icon, like that E65.
It is in more than the ways that I mean. I agree. I think it's better than all the 7 Series that came after.
Yeah, but it did usher in just like a new generation of like that was basically when the 90s stopped. Like the goodness that came out of the 90s in the automotive industry, like, or at least especially in BMW, that was when it stopped. And even though I'm still a fan of the E90, I'll say that I don't know that I'll ever be nostalgic for an E90 much that people are for E46s and older. Yeah, it's an icon in that way, for better and for worse. Or I guess for worse.
I've said this on the pod, but I mean, it bears repeating. Like, I followed cars. I was like 16 in 2000. And I like ate this stuff up. I love following it. And if you were following cars, it's like, oh, you know, you saw them release the E46. You saw them make facelifts to the E38. You saw them like the E39 and then the E39 M5. And it was like every time there was a new car, it was better. It was better unequivocally, and it was just fantastic. And then when that Bengal 7 Series came out, like it really pulled the rug out from under me, because it was like, oh, this is new, but it's not better. Like, this is new, but I don't get it at all.
I don't think anyone did.
I can't I can't envision a version of me that gets this. Like, why does it have these droopy dog headlights? I remember seeing spy photos of it with those headlights with the turn signal above the headlight. And it just looked, I was like, why? Like, these are the people that made the E39. Why would you do this? And
it's a QX80 proposition, in that, why is anyone buying this other than the fact that it's the most expensive one?
Right.
And so, like, there's almost no reason, because at the time, the S-Class was better looking. I mean, arguably, but...
No, Well, I mean, when the Bengal 7 Series came out, everything was better looking. And I like elements of the Bengal 7 Series. Like, I love the side surfacing, and the rear doesn't bother me, but I think the front is just terrible.
Yeah, I'll say, like, there are some iterations, like the facelift,
and I think the interior looks cool.
Are fine. Yeah. Yeah, and that carried forward. I mean, like, it introduced iDrive, which, again, for better or worse, there are things about it that aren't offensive. And it kind of grows into itself just a little bit. I'll say that I'm still not a big fan of it. Like, I'd never seek one out. But same way that the E60, though, like the E60 5 Series, I think is now coming into itself, where it was kind of not the preferred aesthetic when it came out. I didn't like it. They kind of grow on me now. Like, I don't find them offensive.
I think
at all.
Again, I think the rear and the sides look amazing. I think the side, like of the M5, like the lower, like it's outstanding. The front is not my favorite, but I could live with it. I like it.
Yeah. But here's the thing: is that if you look at it relatively, though, they went from the E39 to the E60, and that side by side is just wow.
Yeah.
Like, not an improvement.
You know, it's one of those times I was at this age where, like, I couldn't fathom a car coming out and being worse than the one that came before it. And so it really just shocked me, you know, now. And that's why when something new comes out, I'm the skeptic. I'm the person that's like, why is this car better than the one before? Because I was shaped by that. But I feel like there's a lot of people today growing up, or journalists today, that it's like, you know, yes, I'm the guy, I'm the cynic, I'm the one that hates everything. But, like, can you just question when something comes out? Can you question, is it better? Like, I have to.
So here's the thing.
I'm a curmudgeon because I question that now.
Then that means that you should be a Nissan enthusiast, because Nissan's doing exactly that. They refuse to change or evolve or improve upon their models because they've peaked, apparently, in their eyes, and are offering the same cars that they offered 10 years ago.
So I watched Tomorrow Never Dies last night.
Yes.
With a James Bond movie.
Pierce
Have you
Brosnan.
seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're a Bond fan.
I mean, that was like blockbuster 90s, Like, of course I saw it.
Okay. I don't know. It was...
I'm offended that you thought...
You don't... First of all, you told me you don't watch movies. Tomorrow Never Dies holds up really well, but also, like, we were watching it because we had watched Casino Royale, like, a couple weeks ago. We'll cut some of this out. We'd watched Casino Royale a few weeks ago, and it's good. It's shot amazingly, but it's like, when you watch a Brosnan one, like, it's like, oh, there's so much fun here. Like, there's quips.
Yeah.
Like, everyone, like, he is having fun. There is fun.
Daniel Craig,
there is fun
while
in
he is
his
very
life.
handsome and extremely fit, he is also too serious.
It's
like,
very dreary. Like, there is, like, no fun exists in Daniel Craig's James Bond's world. Like, no moment of happiness.
It's like sad. It's like, just like, my God, the life this man lives.
And like the Tomorrow Never Dies was great, but that chase with the E38 was so much cooler than I remembered. It's fantastic. It's
I watched it for the cars. Yeah, like
it's outstanding.
What was the one with the Z3?
Well, that was GoldenEye, but it was in for like 1 second. That was
That's true.
That was the big criticism, was like BMW paid all this money and the car just like showed up and then someone else drove it off. Like, it was, incidental to the plot. This one, it played a much bigger role, but it was also like extremely blatant product placement.
Yes,
but as someone pointed out
so.
online, it makes sense because he was posing as a banker in Hamburg, so it makes sense that you would have the 7 Series.
Yeah, yeah.
As opposed to like a flashy like DB10 or something, or DB11.
So you made that post on Twitter, and someone pointed out, and I had never noticed it either, that it has German plates, but stamped into a U.S. market shaped plate.
Yes.
And also, it wasn't in Germany, right? Like, the car, like, it had taken that scene was meant to be in England?
No, it was supposed to be in Hamburg.
Okay, that's right.
But it was probably filmed in England.
Yeah. Anyway, a lot of things to pick out.
Oh yeah. Well, also Daniel, it's Q says it's a 750 IL. It's definitely a short wheelbase. It definitely
had the M parallels.
Daniel says it's like a 735. I read a lot of things saying it was a 740, but also having the M parallels predates them being available on the 7 Series by like 2 years.
Oh yeah. So I wonder why they put them on
I read
there.
a lot of stuff on IMCDB, the Internet Movie Car Database.
Oh man, that is a rabbit hole.
It's great.
Yeah,
it's great.
You can just go down that. No problem.
So I brought this up because I wanted to ask you.
Yes.
You have told me, we have talked about car movies before, or movies with cars.
Yeah.
And I feel like it says a lot about the two of us that my formative car movie was Smokey and the Bandit, and yours was Herbie the Love Bug.
Mine was Herbie the Love Bug.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is probably, I mean, I'm going to say that has far more car cred.
What?
Are you kidding me? The cars that were featured in there, are amazing.
You got the Beetle?
The Beetle, you had the Jag XKE, you had Shelby Cobra. This was 60s era. Like, this was all, like, the good cars. I think Herbie, I forget, but, like, he falls in love with, like, a 356 or something like that. They're like
his cousin. He falls in love with his cousin.
Yeah, they are related. They have the same engine. That is. My parents actually remind me constantly that I broke their VCR. Rewatching that movie over, and honestly, that is what got me into cars. Yeah,
I remember. Oh my God, I have not thought about this in forever. But I remember in the late 90s, our VCR had broken, or we needed to get another VCR. And I remember going with my parents shopping at the electronics store for a new VCR. And the guy was like, this one is like more fancy and more expensive, but like when you fast forward, it doesn't even have tracking lines. And my parents were like, forehead VCR. Yeah, my parents were like, we'll pass on that. Give us the cheaper one. But I remember thinking like, oh man, my life would be so much better if I didn't have the tracking lines when fast forwarding.
VHS. Yeah, it's why you are the way you are today. It's because You had tracking lines.
Really messed me up.
I was so jealous when my friend got in his bedroom a VCR of his own. He got a 4-head hi-fi VCR because I think like the base models were, I don't know how many heads, but like they were also mono technically. So stereo, it was hi-fi, like stereo sound was like fancy, which God, this just like dates us so much, but I remember getting our first DVD player, and that was fancy. It was a Panasonic. In 97, I think.
97?
Yeah.
That's so fancy.
We were advanced.
So I think back on this, I was just terrible. But I bought my parents a DVD player for Christmas, but it was like selfishly because I wanted to watch DVDs.
Yeah.
Like, and I think it was a
when was
Magnavox,
this?
But I watched, like, I bought it for them for Christmas, and it was like, you know, literally like 8 times more than I'd ever spent on a gift for my parents. And but this was, I think, like 99, and I also like, because The Matrix, I loved The Matrix, and this is bad, but it was only available on DVD at first.
Yeah, I didn't remember that.
You do?
Or I did not. No, I didn't remember that.
It was released only on DVD, and then like a year and a half later, it came out on VHS. And so I was like, well, I would hatch this plan. I was like, I'm going to buy a DVD player and like get DVDs and stuff for my parents and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I was selfishly just wanted this movie to watch for myself.
That's funny. No, I don't even remember what the first DVD was that we bought. I just remember my dad was just like so excited. It was a Panasonic DVD player. I think it was like $500 or something. And we plugged it into our like giant box, like projection, big screen. Mm-hmm. It's a 52-inch RCA. And it just was crystal clear. Because my dad used to be like super into the latest and greatest technology, this and that. And then for some reason in like 2005, he reverted, and like when Blockbusters were closing, he went and he bought like all of the fire sale VHS tapes from the local Blockbuster by his house. And so to this day, they have like a closet library of VHS tapes, which are probably all unviewable because I don't think they have a VCR. Mm-hmm. But that is probably a nostalgic experience. Actually, I would watch a VHS. No, it would probably be terrible. Mm-hmm. I don't even know. I wonder if you can still buy a VCR. It's hard to say. Anyways.
I remember in the mid-2000s or the late 2000s when a DVD player became like $40 and it was the size of the CD.
Yeah.
Like you could buy a DVD player at CVS or Walgreens, and it was like slightly
like an
bigger
audio
than a DVD,
box or something.
and it was so cheap. And I was like, I was like, oh, I bet VHS. What if that's happened with VHS? And what if I can find one on Amazon for like $40? And it's like the only VHS players on Amazon are like new old stock Emersons that are $500.
I mean, probably, yeah.
No, I'm serious. That's what it was. I looked it up.
Oh, you did? Okay. Well,
I did.
I mean,
because I really assumed
also,
that the technology would have become like miniaturized and cheap, and it had
like it would just be like the size of like a cassette tape or a VHS tape.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Like,
what if they had a VCR that was the shape of a race car? Like it was the rewinder.
That's the rewinder, yeah.
Yeah, but what if they made that into a VCR? I feel like the technology is here. You know what? Let's stop all the research into COVID and pour it into developing the race car VCR. Mm-hmm. I think that has potential, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Anyways, last note about antiquated technology. I also remember, because I was a little bit of a tech nerd as well, when for Christmas I got my first CD-ROM drive, because my PC at the time did not have, this was like 90, like early 90s, 93 to 95. I don't remember. But I was so excited. I don't even know why. I think it was because, I don't know if you remember this, but in order to install Windows 95, it came out on diskette, but it was 50 diskettes that you had to like pop in, it'd read its thing, you switch out with the next one. But it took 50 diskettes. And then like...
I never had... So I can proudly say I never had Windows in the disk era.
What? Oh, man.
Yeah, we had Macintosh.
I had a Mac as well. I had a 512K. I had a 512K, an SE, and a Color Classic. I never had any of the good ones. Like, I didn't have like a Quadra. Anyways, this is getting into the weeds. No, people have dropped off. Also, we're coming up on an hour 20 here, so
okay.
This might be a good time to say that it's a podcast. And
I guess so. Yeah. Okay. When I cut this down, it'll be 40 minutes. You know.
Yeah. So dub me in saying we're at 40 minutes. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for listening. This was a nice babble episode. So do follow us on Instagram at New496, of course, without the of course, and on Twitter also at New496.
New496.
Yeah. All right. Kevin, do you want to add anything?
I have nothing to add. You covered it. I'm.
Oh, you're drunk. Yeah. All right. Bye.